Hello and welcome to my Darkest Dungeon 2 Occultist class guide. I'm your host, Methfu. So if this guide managed to help you out even a tiny little bit, please smash that like button. It'd be greatly appreciated. So in this guide, I'll be going over all the skills, the best ones to use, and the best teams for the demon worshipper himself, the Occultist. So let's have a look at the pros and the cons for the Occultist. So, number 1, literally has a tool for any situation that arises. Number 2, can fit into almost any team he wants to be in. Number 3, does really good backline damage. Number 4, worships the demons and also uses their powers. Number 5, get to do stabby stabby with a sacrificial dagger. Moving on to the cons. So, number 1 has a double-edged healing ability. Number 2 is a jack of all trades, master of none. Number 3 has a very slow ramp-up time for his big abilities. Okay, now for my favorite part of the guide, the abilities. So, starting off with sacrificial stab. Need to be in the first 3 ranks to be able to hit the first 3 ranks of the enemy team. Deals 3 to 6 damage, has a 15% crit chance, and when the target has a combo token, you gain 1 stack of unchecked power. So quite like sacrificial stab as a damage ability for the cultist, does fairly average damage, has a very high crit chance, but the only problem with this is that you need to be in the first 3 ranks to be able to use it. So unless you're running a plague doctor in the 4th rank and have the occultist in the 3rd rank, or you're using a jester to be able to dance between the 2 positions, then you won't be able to use it as much as I would like. So next up, we have abyssal artillery. So you need to be in the 3rd or 4th rank to be able to hit the last 2 ranks of the enemy team. Deals 3 to 6 damage, has a 5% crit chance. Abyssal artillery, this is literally one of the bread and butter skills you will always be taking on the occultist whenever possible. It does really good backline damage, it hits 2 targets. It's just a very good skill all around. Weakening Curse can be used in any rank, can hit any rank of the enemy team, has a cooldown of 1 and it applies to the target 2 tokens of damage debuff, which reduces the damage by 50%. So I find this ability a bit redundant at times. There's never been a situation where I thought to myself, oh, I wish I had Weakening Curse in this moment. There's so many other abilities that you could be using other than this, and you could actually do a lot more for your team than putting this out. Okay, moving on to a healing ability, Weird Reconstruction. Can be used in any rank. Requires the target to be at HP 33% or less. Can be used 3 times per combat. And the target will receive a heal between 0 to 33%. And it also has a 50% chance to apply a free bleed debuff to whichever target you use it on. Right, so Weird Reconstruction is a very weird ability, no pun intended. It can be very hit and miss depending on how good your RNG is, your random number generator. But most of the time this is pretty good to have on during the early game to avoid the Death's Door debuff as much as possible and keep your people alive. But if you have a team that can actually keep themselves up and have a lot of self-healing, then I don't really take this ability that much on teams like that. Daemon's Pull can be used in the 2nd, 3rd and 4th ranks, can hit the last 2 ranks of the enemy team. Deals 2 to 5 damage, has a 5% crit chance, and it pulls the target towards you by 2, and it also applies a combo token to them, and it also clears all corpses off the battlefield. Daemon's Pull, I consider this an absolute god tier ability. This is the main reason I would be bringing the occultist to my team at any point during the game. Next up, with Vulnerability Hex. So, can be used in any rank, can hit any rank on the enemy team, has a cooldown of 1, it ignores dodge tokens, and it applies a vulnerability debuff to the target and removes any dodge tokens they had. So I find this ability a tiny bit average. It's actually quite good in some circumstances if you equipped it beforehand and you know what kind of mobs you're going to be facing or enemies, but most of the time it's not really going to do a lot compared to actually using a damage ability or trying to get your unchecked power buffs up ready to hit them with something hard. Okay, another damage ability, Binding Shadows, can be used in the 2nd, 3rd and 4th ranks, hits the first 3 ranks of the enemy team, deals 3 to 6 damage, has a 10% crit chance, it moves you forward by 1 and has a 50% chance to apply an unchecked power buff to yourself. So Binding Shadows, I actually find this very strong in the correct setup. If you have a highwayman you can dance with or a jester, it's literally very, very goddamn strong. But if you don't have them, it's quite annoying because they'll literally keep pushing you to the front of the line and eventually you'll be tanking the enemy team, which is something you don't want to do as an occultist. Okay, our first unchecked power ability, Malediction, can be used in any rank, can hit any rank of the enemy team, deals 1 to 2 damage, has a 5% crit chance, and it requires yourself to have 2 unchecked power tokens on yourself. And the target gains when hit 1 bleed or 1 blight or 1 burn. So considering the amount of time it actually takes to get 2 unchecked power on the occultist, this ability is not worth it in general at all. I would never slot this in until they give it a buff or something. It's literally completely redundant. Another unchecked power ability, Anamnesis. So you need to be in the 1st and 2nd rank to be able to hit any rank in the enemy team. Deals 1 to 2 damage, has a 5% crit chance, requires yourself to have an unchecked power of 2, and it gives every single target that you hit a free bleed debuff. Anamnesis is a very good ability. The only problem with it is that it has a very high setup time. It just takes a long time to build up that unchecked power most of the time, depending on what you're running. And it applies bleeds, and normally bleeds are better to be put on at the beginning of the fight rather than at the end or the middle. Also, another problem with this unchecked power ability is that you need to be in the 1st and 2nd rank to be able to use it. That doesn't happen that often with the occultist. The burning stars can be used in the 2nd, 3rd and 4th rank, hits every rank in the enemy team, deals 8 to 16 damage, has a 10% crit chance, and it requires yourself to have 2 unchecked power tokens, ignores defense, and it gives the target a combo token. So I actually love this ability. Once I get those 2 unchecked power tokens, this is normally what I'm spending on. This thing hits so goddamn hard. It applies a combo token as well. It's very strong, it ignores defense. It literally is a great ability once you reach that unchecked power that you need. Last but not least, we have Chaotic Offering. Can be used in any rank. Requires your self HP to be at 15% or over, has a cooldown of 3, deals 50% damage to yourself, gives you an unchecked power token, and has a random side effect as well. And every turn starts, you receive another unchecked power token. So Chaotic Offering literally really depends on your team setup. If you require yourself to be buffing up to unchecked powers as quickly as possible to use the burning stars to be able to nuke things down as quickly as possible, then this is actually pretty good. But your main role in the team is to act as utility, then this is a bit hit and miss. And also, if your team is lacking self-healing and you're also damaging yourself on top of that, that can be very dire. But against bosses, and you switch this in against bosses, it's very strong if you put it on at the beginning of the fight. So this is 1 of 3 of the best builds for the occultist. So he's quite a technical character, he's quite complicated, so he requires 3 best builds to fully optimize him. Right, so let's have a look at the selection. So we've got Sacrificial Stab, does pretty good damage, 3 to 6, has a 15% crit chance, which is really high. It literally gives you an unchecked power when you hit a combo token, which we won't be doing much on the first map. This is mainly just for the damage, just to kind of kill stuff quicker. And then we got Abyssal Artillery. So this is pretty strong. It hits the backline pretty damn hard. It's a great skill to have, and there's a lot of backline menaces that you need to take down quite fast. Over to Binding Shadow. So Binding Shadow is pretty good skill. Once again, has fairly average damage, has a great crit chance, and it also gives you 50% chance of getting unchecked power. The only problem with this skill is that when you move forward, you can literally take yourself out of position depending if you've got some partners to dance with or not. Daemon's Pool, once again, this ability is absolutely insane, has so much utility jam-packed into it. Has a pool, gives a combo token, and it clears corpses. It literally does everything. It's a Swiss Army knife of abilities. So as I mentioned earlier, this is the first map, so I normally take weird reconstruction just in case there's a mistake, or just in case I've got some bad RNG, random number generators, and for some reason I've hit Death's Door on the first map. This will allow me to hopefully heal them up and make sure my teammate does not die. So my second build is called with Plague Doctor. So the way you play this one is you literally put the occultist in the 3rd rank instead of the 4th rank, and you have the Plague Doctor in the 4th rank instead, and he acts as your main healer of the party. This allows you to play a bit more risky, so you can take Chaotic Offering to be able to get your unchecked powers a lot quicker, and it also does damage to yourself. You got the same Sacrificial Stab, because obviously you'll be in the 3rd rank, so you'll be able to use this whenever you want to. Abyssal Artillery as well pairs very nicely with the Plague Doctor. The Plague Doctor does insane amounts of backline damage, and coupled with this, you'll be taking down the backliners in no time. Daemon's Pool, as usual, to pull stuff into your front line so you can get the backliners down even quicker. The backliners wouldn't stand a chance against this. And you got Burning Stars as your main nuke ability when you have your full unchecked power stacks up to 2. So the last build is with the Jester, which I feel like is the natural partner for the occultist. It allows you to use your sacrificial stabs pretty much whenever you want. The Jester moves back and forth from the 3rd and 4th rank as much as possible during a fight. So you guys can dance together as much as you want. You literally do the forbidden tango all day long. So you can hit your binding shadows, you can use your sacrificial stabs, use your abyssal artilleries, you can Damon's pull, and you can also always use your burning stars. Once the Jester has upgraded 2 of his abilities that allow him to hit the combo tokens even more, you can get your unchecked power even quicker, so you can literally be churning out the burning stars as much as possible during every fight, and burning stars hits really goddamn hard. Okay, so moving on to the mastery trainer. So as I said before, the occultist is a very complicated character because you have to kind of decide in advance what you want to do with him and who you're playing with on your team. So depending what you're playing with is depending on what you upgrade first. So say for example, if I'm with the Jester and the Jester's in the 3rd rank and I'm in the 4th rank, I'm going to upgrade the Binding Shadows first. So when you upgrade this, it increases damage to 4 to 8. It also gives you an unchecked power every time you hit a combo token. And if you're paired up with the Jester can apply combo tokens like no one's business. So if you use this, you can literally get 2 unchecked power on pretty much your first turn if you get a bit lucky with the 50% roll on the unchecked power buff. So if I'm not playing with the Jester and I'm playing with a Plague Doctor instead, I'm sitting in the 3rd rank instead of the 4th rank, I'll be upgrading Sacrificial Stab first. So when Sacrificial Stab hits a target that has a combo token, it gives you 1 unchecked power. And when you upgrade it, increases its damage 4 to 8, it increases its crit to 20% from 15%, and it also gives you an unchecked power on each kill. So if the enemy is low on HP and has a combo token on it as well, you can use your Sacrificial Stab to hit it and get 2 unchecked powers, allowing you to use your Burning Stars as quickly as possible during the fight. Then we move on to the Burning Stars. So this skill does so much damage. Its damage increases to 12 to 18 from 8 to 16, and it increases its crit by 5%. And it also ignores any defense and applies a combo token to your target. It hits really, really hard, and it's kind of the main ability that you're going to be aiming for in every fight once you've got those unchecked powers stacked up to 2. Right, so moving on to the best teams and the best teammates for the occultist. So, step 1, start with an occultist. Step 2, we apply a hint of Jester. The reason I'm applying the Jester to this team is because every one of Occultist's main skills that actually generate any sort of unchecked power require a combo token on the target. Whereas a Jester can actually allow us to get that. Once Fade to Black and once Razor's Wit are both upgraded at the Mastery Trainer, they both apply combo tokens to the target every time you hit with them, thus allowing our cultists to get as much unchecked power as possible, ready for these burning stars what we're going to churn out in every fight. Next up, add a dash of Hellion. So the reason I picked Hellion as the 3rd pick is because she has so much self-healing. She's got Adrenaline Rush, she's got Ruckus Reverie, and this allows the cultist just to be an offensive support rather than a defensive support and having to keep healing people up. It allows you to take different abilities. You don't have to take the healing ability on the cultist. That's very hit and miss as well. It's very RNG, the weird reconstruction. So with the Hellion literally in the 2nd rank, she can just out heal all the damage by herself and she doesn't require any support at all. And now to complete the cake, we add in the Leper, a massive dollop of Leper helping. So once again, the Leper is a very self-sufficient tank. Has armor, so it can block loads of incoming damage and can also heal itself up like the Hellion. Also does great damage. The Occultist can just focus on being an offensive support rather than a defensive support as much as possible during this team. Now onto the 2nd team I'll take for the Occultist. So we take Chaotic Offering because we are going to be slotting in a Plague Doctor in the 4th rank. This allows us to use the Plague Doctor's healing so we can play the offensive support role even better. In the next slot, I will actually put in a Highwayman. The reason I put in a Highwayman is because, number 1, he can dance pretty well with the Occultist because he has a duelist advance that moves him forward, so he can keep changing places as much as possible between the 2 of them. And on top of that, if I actually want to apply combo tokens, I can use a point blank shot to do that, or I can use a riposte on duelist advance to have a chance of applying combo tokens to whichever enemy hits the Highwayman when he has a riposte up. And in the first stop, once again, we're going to go for a healing tank. The Hellion is just so strong, has so much synergy with everyone, literally self-sufficient, does so much damage. Great tank to have in the front line, especially with the Occultist, Plague Doctor and the Highwayman. And the last setup I'll run on the Occultist is once again using the Jester in the 3rd rank. Applying combo tokens is this guy's game. Then in the 2nd rank, we'll put another Highwayman there. Once again, combo tokens, and we'll grab a Leper to complete this party. And once again, the Leper is self-sufficient, doesn't need any healing. The Highwayman can actually mitigate loads of damage using its riposte, because once you've upgraded the duelist advance, you get a dodge token as well every time you use this, allowing you to mitigate damage that way so you don't have to heal him as much. The Jester is in the 3rd rank, he doesn't get hit that much anyway, and he also generates dodge tokens himself using Razor's Wit. And then we have the Occultist using offensive support as much as possible. Okay, so moving on to how to play the Occultist. So most fights I would always start with Daemon's Pool just to bring the target to my front line, allowing them to chop it to pieces if it's a dangerous enemy in the back line. If there's no dangerous enemy in the back line, I will normally resort to using a Binding Shadows on whatever target has a combo token, allowing me to get my Burning Stars up as quickly as possible if I get lucky on the proc and get 2 unchecked power instead of 1. If there's no dangerous backline and there's no combo tokens on any enemy targets, I'll use Abyssal Artillery if the enemy has dodge tokens or defense tokens to make sure I break it as fast as possible on 2 targets at the same time. If I moved into the 3rd rank using Binding Shadows, I'll start using Sacrificial Stabs to start hitting the targets with combo tokens on them to once again try and get my unchecked power up to 2 as fast as possible. And whenever I reach 2 unchecked power tokens, I will cast the Burning Stars on any target that needs a big, hefty, massive amount of damage laid down upon them. Okay, so that's how most fights go if I'm not playing with the Plague Doctor. If I'm playing with the Plague Doctor, it'll be literally almost the same exact kind of combinations, apart from I'll be putting on a Chaotic Offering right at the beginning on my first turn on the Occultist, just so I get 2 stacks of unchecked power straight away. And on my next turn on the Occultist, after casting Chaotic Offering, I'll be putting out a Burning Star straight away on the target. So the first thing I see when I look at the Occultist is literally an offensive support Demon Prince. So he brings so much utility in all his abilities. He can also be a great damage dealer as well. On top of that, when you need to switch in between damage mode and utility mode, so you're literally almost flipping a switch. You're going straight from a support row into a damage row at the drop of a hat whenever the opportunity arises. Right, that about wraps up my class guide for the Occultist. So if there's any other guides you want me to do, please let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.